Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real. The hardest battles you will ever fight are not on a stage, not on social media, not in front of people cheering for you. They happen when nobody is watching. They happen at night. They happen when you're tired, confused, scared, and questioning yourself. That's where the real game is played. Everyone wants the highlight reel. Everyone wants the applause, the likes, the comments, the recognition. But nobody talks about the silent grind, the self-doubt you don't post, the fear you don't admit, the days when you feel behind, lost, and invisible. That's silence. That's not weakness. That's the training ground. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear: no one is coming to save you. And that's actually good news, because it means you get to build yourself. It means you get to decide who you become when it's hard, when no one is clapping, when no one believes yet, when results are 0 and effort is 100. The strongest version of a person is not built in moments of applause, but in moments of isolation. Silent struggles force honesty because there is no audience to impress and no shortcut to hide behind. When you're alone with your thoughts, your fears get louder, your excuses lose their power, and your true character starts to show. This is where real strength begins, not as a performance, but as a decision to keep going when stopping would be easier and more comfortable. Strength formed in silence is different from loud confidence. Loud confidence often depends on external validation, but silent strength is rooted in self-trust. It's built when you wake up early without telling anyone, when you put in the work even though no one is watching, and when you continue despite doubt and uncertainty. These moments don't look impressive from the outside, but they create resilience that can't be shaken when pressure comes. Silent struggles teach patience. When results don't come immediately, you learn how to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. You learn how to delay gratification and stay committed without reassurance. This patience becomes a competitive advantage because most people quit when rewards are delayed. Those who endure silence develop the ability to stay focused long enough for real progress to happen. There is also a clarity that comes from fighting battles quietly, without outside noise or comparisons. You are forced to understand your own limits and push beyond them. You discover what truly matters to you and what distractions need to be removed. Silence strips life down to essentials: effort, discipline, and consistency. That clarity becomes power because it allows you to move forward with intention rather than confusion. Most importantly, silent struggles build self-respect. Every time you overcome something privately, you reinforce the belief that you can rely on yourself. That belief becomes unbreakable confidence, not the kind that shouts, but the kind that stands firm under pressure. When life eventually tests you publicly, you don't panic because you've already survived worse in silence. That hidden strength becomes the foundation for everything you build next. Most of the work that actually changes your life happens without recognition. There is no crowd cheering while you practice, no comments praising you while you fail, and no spotlight shining on the days you show up tired and uninspired. The process is quiet, repetitive, and often boring, which is exactly why so few people stick with it. Everyone wants applause, but almost no one wants the unseen effort that earns it. When there is no applause, you are forced to confront your real motivation. If you only work when someone is watching, your progress will always be fragile. True growth comes when you keep going even though nobody is acknowledging your effort. That kind of commitment creates durability. It builds habits instead of hype, and habits are what carry you through the long run when excitement fades. The absence of recognition is also where humility is formed. When no one is praising you, you stop performing for others and start focusing on improving for yourself. You learn to separate your worth from external approval and measure progress by internal standards. This shift is powerful because it frees you from the emotional highs and lows that come from chasing validation. You stop needing permission to believe in your own work. A silent process also sharpens focus. Applause can be distracting because it feeds ego, and ego often demands comfort. Without praise, there is nothing to protect, so you can take risks, make mistakes, and learn faster. You become more willing to experiment, fail, and adjust because there is no image to maintain. That freedom accelerates growth in ways recognition never could. Eventually, results speak louder than applause ever did. When the outcome finally becomes visible, people see the success, but not the thousands of quiet decisions that made it possible. What looks like sudden achievement is really the accumulation of unnoticed effort. The process never needed an audience to work. It only needed consistency. And when results arrive, they last longer because they were built on substance, not noise. What you do when no one is watching determines how powerful you become when everyone is watching. Private discipline is the unseen force behind every public win. It's easy to perform when there's pressure from others, but it's much harder to stay consistent when the only person holding you accountable is yourself. That private commitment is what separates people who talk from people who execute. Discipline in private means doing the work even when excuses feel reasonable. It's choosing preparation over comfort, repetition over shortcuts, and long-term growth over short-term relief. No one applauds those choices, but they compound quietly. Every small action done consistently strengthens your ability to show up under pressure. When challenges appear in public, you don't panic because you've already trained yourself to push through resistance in private. Public power is often mistaken for confidence or charisma, but its real source is certainty. That certainty comes from knowing you've done the work. When you've practiced, studied, failed, adjusted, and repeated the process alone, you walk into any situation grounded. You don't rely on luck or external reassurance because you trust your preparation. That trust creates calm, and calm creates authority. Private discipline also builds integrity. When your actions align with your goals without external enforcement, you stop negotiating with yourself. You no longer wait for motivation or perfect conditions. You move because it's who you are, not because someone is watching. That alignment strengthens your identity, and identity-driven behavior is incredibly hard to break. Over time, the results of private discipline become visible. People notice consistency, reliability, and resilience, even if they don't understand where it came from. What they see as natural talent or confidence is actually the byproduct of countless quiet decisions. Power in public is never an accident. It's the reflection of discipline practiced daily in moments that no one else ever sees. Taking responsibility for your own life is uncomfortable because it removes excuses. When you stop relying on validation, approval, or direction from others, you are forced to face the truth of your own effort and choices. Self-accountability means owning both the wins and the losses without blaming circumstances, timing, or people around you. That ownership is where real progress begins. When you hold yourself accountable, your standards become internal instead of external. You no longer need praise to feel satisfied or criticism to feel motivated. You measure success by whether you did what you said you would do. That simple shift creates consistency because your behavior is no longer dependent on mood, attention, or feedback. You show up because you expect it from yourself. External validation is addictive but fragile. It feels good in the moment, but it trains you to perform for others instead of building for the long term. When validation disappears, so does motivation. Self-accountability removes that dependency. It teaches you to keep going even when no one notices, because your commitment is to your own growth, not to applause. This mindset also builds emotional strength. When you stop needing approval, criticism loses its power over you. You can listen, learn, and improve without letting opinions define you. You become harder to manipulate and easier to focus because your sense of direction comes from within. That clarity allows you to make better decisions, especially under pressure. Over time, self-accountability creates trust in yourself. Each time you follow through without being pushed, you reinforce the belief that you are reliable. That belief becomes confidence grounded in action, not ego. While others wait to be motivated or encouraged, you move forward independently. That independence is rare, and it becomes a major advantage in any area of life. Motivation is exciting, but it's unreliable. It shows up when things feel new, when energy is high, and when progress is visible. The problem is that motivation disappears the moment things get hard, repetitive, or uncomfortable. If your success depends on feeling inspired, you will stop the moment that feeling fades. That's why consistency matters more than motivation ever will. Consistency is about showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's doing the work on average days, bad days, and boring days. While motivation asks how you feel, consistency asks who you are. When actions become habitual, they no longer require emotional energy. You don't debate whether to act, you simply do it. That removes friction and keeps progress moving forward. Small, consistent actions may seem insignificant in the moment, but they compound over time. One day of effort won't change much, but repeated effort builds momentum. This is where most people lose the game. They underestimate how powerful steady work is and overestimate the impact of short bursts of motivation. Consistency quietly outperforms intensity because it lasts longer. When motivation fades, consistency provides structure. Structure creates discipline, and discipline creates results. This is especially important during setbacks when progress feels slow or invisible. People who rely on motivation quit during these phases because they interpret discomfort as failure. Consistent people understand that discomfort is part of the process and keep moving anyway. Over time, consistency builds identity. You start to see yourself as someone who finishes, who shows up, who doesn't quit. That identity reinforces behavior, making it easier to continue even without excitement. While others wait for the perfect moment to feel motivated again, consistent individuals keep winning quietly. They don't need hype to move forward. They just keep going, and that persistence eventually separates them from everyone else. The hardest battles are not the ones the world sees, but the ones you survive alone. When you learn to work without applause, stay disciplined in private, hold yourself accountable, and remain consistent even when motivation disappears, you build a strength that cannot be taken from you. Silence becomes your advantage, not your weakness. And when the results finally speak, they speak with power, because they were earned when no one was watching. Thank you.